If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's June 26, 2013.
Hey, it's June 26, 2013. Are we playing repeater?
Are we playing repeater? This is the Sackheads Radio Show. Tonight's, the phone number as it is every week, 347-205-9399.
So don't be afraid to call in, meow.
Meow? I love that movie, dude. It's one of the greatest movies. We have a ton to talk about tonight. We're going to touch on Voito's right.
This was nothing we talked about in pre-production.
I know. I'm turning the tables for once. We're going to talk about the
SCOTUS.
Venezuelan harboring swallow to see its history on that and why it migrates the way it does. SCOTUS might pop into the conversation. The IRS, or as I like to call it, I remember, beep, Prop 8, and DOMA. So we have a full show, so we probably won't get to the half of that if I know how we run our show.
Yeah, because we may have a chance to chew on Southern Poverty Law Center at one point, too.
What?
What?
What do those fine folks ever do to you?
How was your week?
It was good. You know, it was...
How's your team, the Patriots?
You know what? Look, one tight end short right now.
Okay. So are you guys, well, too late for the draft, right?
Well, they picked up a young receiver on the draft, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's close enough to a tight end, I guess.
Yeah, we'll have Gronk, and I think we'll be okay. Yeah, he was arrested today. Aaron Hernandez was charged with murder down in Bristol.
And this wasn't the first of his issues that he's had, right?
No, he allegedly, and it's going. There was no charges ever filed. It's going to civil suit, but apparently he shot somebody in the face in Florida. Maybe it was just an understanding. But. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that rolls out. But I want to give props to whoever it was on the Patriots that figured out he was about to be arrested and cut him like 2 or 3 hours before he was officially arrested.
You know somebody made a phone call.
They had to have. And that way the headline, in New England at least, was former Patriot, and it was. Most news stations went with that, which killed me because it shows you there's allegiance there. Former New England Patriot Aaron Hernandez arrested and charged with murder. Apparently he was in a nightclub, and info's sketchy right now, but there was some sort of fight between he and a semi-pro football player, and the semi-pro football player ended up shot and dead. So, yeah. And then in other great news for New England sports, the Bruins lost to the Blackhawks in the Stanley Cup, so that really wrapped the week up. But Red Sox still in first place, so I have that.
Oakland Athletics, I think, are... I think they're like half a game up, or they may be tied.
I think
there were
tied
3
right
games up last week, and they lost, 3 out of 4 to Texas. But they're playing good ball. I love them. They're always a young, fun team. They have a very low salary, and they're always right there.
They're a lot like the show. A young, fun team.
They're exactly like
really low on salary.
This show, or the movie Major League. But either way.
Hey, it was weird. We got rain this week. And this time of year, we don't normally get that. And, You know, they kept saying, "Oh, we might get some rain," and I don't follow the weather anytime after May.
It felt like home to me.
It felt like home to me too.
Because it was humid.
It was 70 and humid.
It was warm. I felt like I was back in Hawaii, but minus the beaches and the good food.
I felt like I was back in Boston.
Minus the beaches
food,
and
the beaches, the people. You know, other than that, though.
Right.
I really felt
the rich history.
The rich history. But nope, still stuck here. But yeah, that was just a strange thing to wake up to. And my favorite part...
global warming.
If you're in California...
Right? It should be 100 degrees in summer, but global warming caused it to be 70 and raining. Why are you laughing? I don't understand.
No, it makes perfectly good sense. I have a complaint, though, about...
What?
And I come from a place of bad drivers, right? I come from New England. I'll admit it's pretty hard to drive in Boston if you're not used to it. However, drivers out here in California are the worst as soon as anything changes from hot and dry. There were so many spin-outs and accidents. It's raining people. Why are you still doing
It's raining people?
It was at one point because they were driving
so not just cats and dogs, but people.
They were driving so bad on overpasses that they were going over the sides, and it was literally raining people. If you missed that news story, it's out there somewhere.
I think it's like on Sackhead's radio.
This is something I've always said here. California drivers are great at going 100 miles an hour straight. As soon as it involves turning, braking, dealing with any sort of foul weather, a sun goes behind the cloud, a bird cuts in front of the car, perhaps a bat comes out of nowhere, they crash. And I don't understand why that happens. I see more accidents for a little rainstorm out here than I have seen years living in Boston from weather-related. Now, there's plenty of accidents from idiot-related, but weather-related, it's incredible to me. So, I don't know. I mean, you know what it is? It's the liberal driving schools. You just learn how to drive however you want.
Look,
we love you anyway.
I've been through some conservative states that I've heard horror stories. It's never happened to me, thank goodness, where you'll get a ticket for like driving 3 miles per hour, 5 miles per hour over the speed limit. California, I'm pretty sure they don't even worry about you unless you're doing a $110.
Yeah, well, there's other states though. I've driven through Nevada, and there's that stretch on the east side of Reno that cuts all the way through the desert, and the speed limit's like 80, I think. Legitimately, it's not an exaggeration. And I've been driving 80, 85, whatever the speed limit is, and I've been passed by old women with Nevada plates in a 1972 Plymouth going 115 miles an hour. It's insane to me. And then when there's these accidents and these cars just shred into a million pieces, I don't know why I'm...
What is it with you? Are you have some kind of homicidal thing going on?
Everyone says the same thing. How did this happen? Well...
You were doing 130 on a wet roadway when it just rained.
Crash tests at 30 to 40 miles an hour? Because that's kind of what the car is designed to take. Hey, a friend of ours had a first show this week, Outcry Radio on Blog Talk Radio, Rooster over at conservativeoutcry.net. Did an excellent job. I did 2 guest spots, actually. I did one just after Andrea Kay, our good friend Andrea Kay, who's sort of a talk show host out of San Diego.
She's sort of a talk show host?
No, conservative.
Oh.
She's on Financial News and Talk down in the San Diego area. And then, so I followed her, and then I was on with our other good friend Ken from the Exceptional Conservative Show. Rooster did an excellent job. He had a good show. It was a lot of fun.
How many times did he swear?
Only a couple. He kept it relatively clean for Rooster. I was very proud of him. I applauded him. But the show was great. So if you have a chance, check it out. You should be able to pick up the replay of it. And the new show, I believe, is this Friday night. So check it out on Blog Talk Radio. I love it when you have this look. For those who can't see Clint right now, which is everyone else but me, because for some reason Sacco banged in sick tonight, he's looking like a dog looks at the washing machine. You ever seen a dog stare at a front-loading washing machine when everything's moving inside and it's just trying to figure out what the hell's going on in there? You have that look right now.
Okay, let me explain to you why.
Okay.
So, have you ever seen the Faces of Global Terrorism ads?
Yeah.
That the FBI puts out there on buses and so forth. Well, somebody complained, right, that racist because, anyways, the FBI said that it's pulling some advertisements off the buses in Seattle because somebody complained, that they stereotype Muslims. So, a United States representative from the Seattle area, Representative Jim McDermott.
Say Kermit McDermott?
Kermit McDermott. Says that the ads give the impression that, quote, terrorism only comes from one religion or one color of people. Yet what's weird is on the poster there's people in there that look Middle Eastern, but also some Asians, and so yeah, that's not it.
Where's the outrage from the Asian community?
I don't know. That's kind of what I'm wondering. And look at these are wanted posters. These are people that have done bad things. They know look, this isn't just be on the lookout for terrorism and it's all Muslim people, right? These are people who are actually wanted. These are specific individuals. Yes, that have done bad things from not just Muslim countries. I think some were from Philippines, right? One was an American. Well, I'm upset. What? Wait, was he white? Look, that's not the point. No, if he isn't, I'm going to be offended if that ad's on the side of the bus. It doesn't matter. These are known, wanted people, and so I found this ad, and it's from Atlas Shrugg's 2000 webpage that I got it from. But as I was kind of checking out the article, I immediately got kicked off, and it said, unable to have this page. So I had to go to a cached copy of it, and I did a search on it. There's like nothing on the internet. This Atlas Shrugged 2000 references a June 25th Associated Press article. I went to the Associated Press to try and pull that article, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So in the search on the Associated Press, I typed, I typed a search for this ad, Faces of Global Terrorism, and nothing comes up. Weird. Not really. It's not really weird. I keep saying that like it actually is weird, but it's actually not at all weird. It's kind of interesting. Anyways, I have a hard time. Are we that screwed up as a country where we have a United States representative saying, we don't want pictures of wanted people out there on the bus because we don't want more people seeing those posters because we don't want them to actually get caught? Yes. Is that essentially? Well, no, because it gives the impression that all terrorism only comes from one religion or one color. Yet there's just pictures of... It's literally the people who are wanted for something. I don't know why it's become that specific. Listen. And then the FBI pulled it. The FBI is pulling them in the Seattle area. We've all seen the ads for different things all over the country where you look at the ad, there's 5 people in it, and they specifically said, okay, we need a white guy, a black guy, an Asian guy, a Middle Eastern looking guy, and maybe like a South American looking woman. Right. And that way we don't insult anybody. Right. And if we have something bad, we want to make somebody look bad, we need a white guy. Oh, I will tell you. Am I wrong? I did this training not too long ago for work, and it was about human resources. And I learned one thing at the end of that training. I don't want to hear about this. Is this inappropriate? No. Oh, okay. It's quite simply, judging by it was a PowerPoint ad. Every single time they had actors do pictures to try to highlight what the example they were trying to make, right? It was always the white guy who was the jerk. He was either the evil boss or the bully coworker or the sexual harassment. And I'm not saying they were wrong. I'm not saying it's none of those. But you can't tell me that the only white guy in the office was the guy causing all of these problems. It was insane to me. Oh, and by the way, another little tidbit I learned too. If you have a Twitter account and you change your picture to maybe or Facebook, and you change your picture to you maybe shooting a rifle or hunting or something you enjoy doing, that's behavior that people need to monitor. What? As it was said in that specific. Tell me you spoke up and you said something about that. And what did you say? I was extremely upset. What did you say? I specifically said, wait a minute, because that's a hobby
And even
a legal hobby?
A completely legal hobby. You're telling me that if somebody changes their picture and puts it up, well, if it just starts to be too much, what's too much?
Yeah, who are you to judge what too much is?
So that's
what if I think you bake too many pies, so I think you're, reminiscent of the Holocaust? I mean, seriously, not to be rude about it, but that has nothing to do with anything.
Well, and I said it this way: what if it was a training about like personal health? You keep your employees healthy and you promote personal health, and they won't take less sick days, and they'll be at work. And I see a picture of an employee eating a bowl of ice cream. Do we now have a problem? Is this now a problem employee because he's not listening to the? How far have we gone?
Or you know what? What if there's an employee who's overweight who's eating a bowl of ice cream, and now that's somebody we have to monitor because we have to spend more on health insurance for that person?
Yeah.
Or their health insurance premiums may be increased, which...
It drove me nuts that I sat there and I'm like, oh, wait, so let me get this straight, corporate America and liberal lawyers. Only white people are the problem in the workplace, and they were other ethnicities that were in the slides.
Right.
But they were always either the victim or the witness. It was always a white male adult that was the problem. And...
just like in real life.
And then the whole... yeah, exactly, just like... depends on who you ask. Don't ask Al Sharpton. Or
Jesse Jackson.
Or
if
somebody had a hobby that involved firearms and they posted about it on their social media page, they're now somebody we need to watch.
Because it's a social media.
Because it's social media.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I say this all the time. If something's on somebody's social media thing, the occasional inappropriate joke or something like that, I do not believe that always reflects the person. They may just think that's funny. Like we do on this show a lot of times. We find the comedy in things that are dark sometimes.
Right.
Because if you can't laugh at it, and we talked about, actually Ken Rooster and I talked about this on the show, it was a great piece, but you can't laugh at ourselves and other people and our own stereotypes, the stereotype about my nationality, I'm American, but I'm of Irish heritage. You're of,
doesn't matter.
Don't even remember.
Yeah.
But some sort of mongrel. It doesn't matter, though. The fact
I'm half Wolverine, half honey badger, half ferret.
And French poodle.
Just the hair. The chest hair.
But you have to be able to laugh at it. And
50% pointer. There it is. There it is.
You have to be able to laugh at it. And the fact that we've taken so much and put it into social media as clout and say this is important, this reflects that person. What they write on you mean on the imaginary space? They're making specific threats. They're not.
Why are companies monitoring employees' individual social media anyways? That's their personal time. Now, how can they monitor it if it's private? How are companies monitoring social media of their employees if it's marked private?
Well, because if it's marked private, but it's up to the person to go in and actually mark. You can mark things in a lot of social media that's public, and anyone can go to your page and see it. A lot of people fail to do that, and they don't mark it private. But even if it is the public side of it, if I retweet something because it's funny, or if I put it on my Facebook because I think it's funny, from a dark point of view, trying to find the humor in maybe a bad situation, because you and I both agree that sometimes you have to laugh to get through this crap that we deal with all the time in this world.
You have to. Or even using a dark situation to draw a ridiculous parallel.
Which we do all the time.
Which we just did a couple minutes ago.
Exactly.
Which I just did a couple minutes ago. So I have something for you based on political correctness. The Sesame Street.
Yes.
You know the show Sesame Street.
Yeah.
You watch it all the time. You really enjoy that show. You are very supportive of it, and you donate a lot of money to Sesame Street. They have a new character.
Oh, gosh. I was not aware of this.
Alex is a new character. He's got blue hair and green nose, and he wears a hoodie, which I think is racist. But he's the first Muppet to have a dad in prison.
Whew. So it's come to that, huh?
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Racist or funny?
Well, he has green nose and he's orange. And he's got blue hair.
Right.
So it's not really racist unless you're talking about the hoodie.
Yeah.
Right? Why does he have to have a hoodie?
Why does he have the hoodie and a dad in jail?
Right. I think that is, in and of itself is racist, and Sesame Street should be called on the carpet for it.
Absolutely. The assumption that a hoodie, look at everything with Trayvon Martin and the Zimmerman character trials going on right now, but how much of that was the hoodie? Remember the hoodie outrage that came after that?
Yeah. Wear a hoodie for solidarity. So why does this Muppet, who has a father in prison, wear a hoodie? And how come people aren't
mad,
upset about that?
Well, they're just
because it's how nice Sesame Street is to be so inclusive of
everyone.
Everybody is, yeah.
Does he talk about how his dad is a low-life loser?
No. He talks about how he just misses him so much.
Perhaps it could be a story about how he's going to not make the mistakes that his dad did, and live a better life and hold his dad accountable for his actions while being accountable for his own actions.
Look, if anybody wants to go to the article, it's on metro.co.uk. So Paula Dean talking about people that are just getting.
We might as well keep going with the race
card.
Look,
let's go with the race card right now, because it can tie into a SCOTUS decision, right? The Texas case where they sent the college case where they sent it back to the lower court and said, yeah, you may want to reconsider your ruling on using race in education. See, we just talked about SCOTUS like we said we were going to do.
Right.
Paula Dean.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's 65-ish years old,
yeah.
Right, from the South, and she at some point in her life used the N-word.
Okay.
And now she's getting hammered for it.
Literally?
No, not in the way you're thinking of. That's dirty. But like the Food Network is dropping her show.
Right.
Right. She has sponsors that are saying she's on a thin leash. She has to go and on this tour and apologize and everything else. Look. First of all, why do words have so much power? Second of all, if it's something she said, I don't know, what did she say, 25, 30 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
And she used that word in whatever context, whether it was a joke or whether it was something she said to a friend, whatever it was, wouldn't that be up to the free market to decide if they're going to hold her accountable or not? Right? Because people that have a problem with that type of language or that type of use, and we don't allow that on the show or anything like that. We don't. But if people had an issue with her using it 30 years ago, whatever it was, shouldn't we let the free market kind of sort that out, right? If people don't want to buy her things, watch her show, then they don't. And if people do still want to buy her things or watch her show, then they should. And maybe the Food Network have a chance to sort that out.
Yeah.
Right? Because, hey, you know what? Your ratings are slipping. We think it was because of this, but you have failed to produce. We're losing money on you, whatever it is. We have to drop you.
Right.
Legitimate, I think.
Well,
right? But just to drop somebody for this reason, something that they said in their personal life, not on the air, not representing Food Network or anything like that, and makes a statement like that, I don't think it's up to the company. Fortunately, we own this company.
Right.
So, and we don't have any sponsors.
Right. So we can say whatever we want.
We can say whatever we want. Oh, there's also that whole First Amendment thing.
Yep, freedom of speech. And from what I understand, apparently there was some sort of weird, party that was like a plantation party that came out at one point. But this focus around this one word specifically that she said, it was in a civil suit. She was giving a deposition, and they asked her if she had said it, and she said yes. Well, when? Well, one time I was a bank teller back in 1980-something.
Yeah.
And a black guy came in and robbed the bank and put a revolver to my head. And when I went home that night after I was interviewed and I was in fear for my life and all this other stuff, I may have used it because I was angry. And there was another time that I probably used it where I was explaining a conversation word for word that occurred, and I used that because that was the word that was used. Okay. She apologized. Now, how many...
Well, I don't think she should... I mean...
No.
Look,
whether she should or she shouldn't.
Right.
She apologized and said that was a long time ago. Both situations were unique. I didn't raise my family this way. I don't act this way. I don't believe this way. I am not a racist. I was upset one of the times that I used it. And it doesn't matter what she says. Now, I think it's funny that a lot of the people that are slamming her were psyched that she was so big around the Obama administration because she's a huge Democrat and she voted and she was with Michelle Obama at fundraisers and all this other stuff. So I think that's kind of funny that gets dropped by the wayside quite a bit. But I agree with you. Let the free market decide. If the company, and actually Sacco's in the chat room, and Sacco brought up a good point.
Sacco, you should have been here tonight. You told us you were going to be early. That's ridiculous. Okay.
Hey, if the company wants to turn around and give her a quote-unquote suspension, or like, hey, you know what? We don't like what we don't like that this came out, blah, 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 blah. And a couple weeks on the bench, a couple weeks on the sideline. How many politicians have said such ridiculous things? Look at everything that's going on right now with Clarence Thomas, and there was the senator or representative, I forget who it was, they called him an Uncle Tom.
Yeah.
Why isn't he getting fired? Oh, right, we have to wait until 2014 to do that. But that's not the point. With the outrage over that, here's a Supreme Court justice who busted his ass his whole career, became the Supreme Court justice, and all of a sudden, because they made a decision that was on the Voters' Right Act earlier in the week, that it's okay to call him an Uncle Tom? That's discrimination either way. That is racial discrimination. Yeah, it's not the N-word, which is the word that really gets a lot of people upset.
Okay, but I want to talk about the N-word for a second. You go, how many hip-hop songs, rap artists, people on the street go and use that word?
There is a mentality that that's our word, we can say that.
Okay, first of all,
inner-city locations.
That in and of itself is divisive. And if you can say it as an American, regardless of where you are, why can't somebody else say that? Why is it you can? And not only that, but you know what? If somebody says cracker, right? Mm-hmm. If they call a white person cracker or anything like that, why is that nobody up in arms about that? Right? A black person can say, you know what, use the N-word, this and that. Let's pull up some of the names of some of the hip hop and rap songs that are out there, and they can use racist terms.
It's insane.
But it's so one-sided.
It's this ridiculous double standard that we have in this country, where people aren't responsible for themselves. They're outraged that other people can't. It doesn't matter what I do. What you do that upsets me.
Have you ever heard of the Southern Poverty Law Center?
Yes.
They're a wingnut organization of lawyers. Right. I mean, a lot of lawyers are wingnuts, and we kind of know that. But this group has a huge thing where they talk about fighting hate and teaching intolerance and seeking justice. And they actually have a whole Get Informed section. I spent a lot of time on this site just because I'm kind of interested.
Because it's crazy?
In it. But do you realize that one of the movements that they list in their intelligence files as hate ideology is the Patriot movement?
Really?
Yes. So according to the Southern Poverty Law Center's website, under their intelligence files section, the Patriot movement is considered one of these ideologies, and I'm going to quote their website here, and it says the anti-government and then patriot in quotes movement has experienced a resurgence, growing quickly since 2008 when President Obama was elected to office. It says generally patriot groups define themselves as opposed to the New World Order, engage in groundless conspiracy theorizing, like the IRS is targeting them, like I'm ad-libbing here. Like everybody's listening to their phone never mind. But it says anti-government groups do not necessarily advocate or engage in violence or other criminal activities. Then so why is this on your website for hate and intolerance? Right? And so it goes through this whole thing that talks about the quote-unquote Patriot movement, and then they actually have a list of these active patriot groups that are extremist, right? They're these just horrible patriot groups, anti-government groups, and among these
Shackheads Radio?
No, not yet. Although after this show, I'm sure we will be. And you can read the entire list, but and they list them by state, which is kind of funny. but there are several listed in the different states. Oath Keepers. Oath Keepers is listed as this radical ideological group.
Why? How is
So for those of you who don't know who Oath Keepers are, you can go to their website also. And Oath Keepers, they are currently serving members of the military, peace officers and firefighters, veterans and so forth, who swear basically through Oath Keepers to fulfill their oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Right.
Okay? So...
You mean that group of lunatics?
Yeah. So a patriot ideology is radical and they're anti-government.
Right.
Which means our government, our government is based upon the Constitution, right? So you would probably have to be, if you're anti-government, truly anti-government, not anti-big government or anything like that. Not if you're anti-tyranny, right? But if you're anti-government, period, in the United States, you would have to be against the Constitution and against, almost like the progressive movement would fit into that. That's weird. Anyways, I digress.
So it sounds like they just want total anarchy.
No. What it says is, hang on, I'm going to read from their website. It says, our oath is to the Constitution, not to the politicians, not to any political party. In the long-standing tradition of the U.S. military, we are apolitical. We don't care if unlawful orders come from a Democrat or Republican, or if the violation is bipartisan. We will not obey unconstitutional and thus unlawful and immoral orders. So, wow, that sounds like they're hateful.
Very angry.
Very angry groups. Their principles are to uphold and defend the Constitution they took an oath to defend.
Bastards. And
to defend the Republic and not to engage in illegal or unconstitutional actions or follow illegal or unconstitutional orders. Which is their legal right. They can disobey unlawful orders.
What?
Okay, so look, I bring it up because it goes back to that whole mindset of, you know what, that hate mentality. You know what, if you're not politically correct, or if you disagree with us to a certain, you're not all-inclusive, you're not conforming to what we think you should be, we're going to consider you a hate group or an extreme group.
Kind of like, I don't know, this government occasionally does with us. And by us, I mean
Sackheads Radio?
Everybody. Radio specifically. Well, no, we're up against a break. I hate when you have a good lead-in like that. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Let's pick up on this because this is a good conversation. I know we have a lot more to talk about, but I think this bears some more time. So we'll be back in a minute on Sackheads Radio.
I'm Lori, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Dr. Larry Arnn on how the founders viewed God as the source of our equality and legal rights.
America's founders knew, obviously, that human beings are not equal in terms of strength or beauty, or in terms of intelligence, industry, or talents. They understood that because of such differences in talents and things like that, some people would be wealthier than others. But human beings are equal, the founders believe, in their possession of natural rights, such as the rights to life, liberty, and property. Today, many Americans reject this equality of rights in order to pursue equality of condition through redistribution, or spreading the wealth around, to use a famous formulation. This is destructive of liberty as the founders understood it.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hey guys, it's Shaun from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Shaun and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school board, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PoliticalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PoliticalNetwork.com or Twitter at PoliticalUSA.
Now back to Clint and Shaun on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
And we are back here on the Sackheads Radio Show. We were talking before we went to break, the Southern Poverty Law Center and the website, and Clint's bringing us up to speed on these miraculous individuals and how much they do to help. So please continue where you left off.
You can't go into a break and then tell me to continue where I left off because I don't remember. I love doing that too. The look on your face. You made fun of the look on my face earlier. I have to make fun of the look on. So Shaun's looking at me like I just drop kicked his kitty cat across the room, and then took a picture and uploaded it onto YouTube.
My kitty cat. That's so great.
It's so great. So, look, I find it. I can't.
What's the word you're looking for?
I don't know. I'm at such a loss. This place, look, I guess the idea is good, right? The idea of not wanting hate out there, so to speak, is good, right?
Right.
So look, we don't condone racism. You and I don't condone racism. We don't condone that type of talk. We don't tolerate that on the show. We don't tolerate that at all. So, but you know what? If we did, if somebody has that point of view, that's their right to have that point of view, as long as they don't act illegally upon it.
Right.
Right.
As long as you're not hurting somebody else.
Right. Look, we talk about the definition of liberty and why. Liberty is freedom to do what you want to do with your life unless it infringes upon the rights or liberty of others, right? So whether that's your own personal feelings, your own personal, belief system, morals, whatever it is, that you have a right to do that. So if you choose to, and I may not agree with it, you may not agree with it, but if you choose to dislike whoever for whatever reason, as long as you're not interfering with their rights, be it through breaking the law or whatnot, there's no law against being an asshole.
What?
I'd
be in jail.
But you know what I mean, though? Well, I mean, if somebody's a complete jerk and they use racist words or they just don't like people because they're orange with green hair like that Muppet, then that's their right. They can do that. Right, they may be a jerk. We may not agree with them, but
right.
You can't. Once you start passing laws to modify behavior or point of view, I have a big problem with that. And one of the group the Southern Poverty Law Center does is they have programs teaching tolerance, right? Children at risk, hate and extremism. I'm sorry, but people
mind control, brainwashing, thought control.
Why is it that everybody has to be tolerant of everybody else, but groups like this are intolerant of other views?
And then hailed as heroes.
And hailed as heroes, right? Or they get this huge following. Look, I understand if you say, hey, you know what, we need to end crimes against people because they're whatever color, religion, creed, whatever. I get that. Yes, let's educate about ending criminal activity or whatever it is against them, but not about an ideology specifically. Or listing, are you kidding me? Listing Patriot groups as an extreme group? Well, but I also don't think that any group should get special protection over somebody else. Exactly. Why is it a worse crime to commit a crime against somebody who's black or homosexual or something? But if you're just a white guy walking down the street,
you get wailed on.
You get wailed on. It's no big deal, right? I have a problem with that because it's equal protection under the law. So if you get assaulted and you're white, black, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. The fact that you got assaulted is the illegal act.
Right.
The motivation behind it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't. It's kind of like if the motivation behind why somebody assaults you doesn't matter. You got assaulted. That's the bottom line.
But this is the common liberal conversation. They do this with gun control. They blame the motivation over the act, or that's the reason. The same thing with guns. Oh, they commit these acts so easily because of guns. Blah blah. It's the same type of application.
Yeah, this assault wouldn't have happened if
the gun wasn't readily available.
Yeah, or this assault wouldn't have happened if this person had a problem against this minority group or because of this sexual orientation. Or how's about, you know what, this assault wouldn't happen if that guy wasn't an asshole.
Right.
I keep coming back to that argument, but that's basically what it is, right? You're a jerk if you hit somebody or assault them because of race, religion, whatever it is. Just like you're a jerk if you hit somebody and you're not in self-defense, you're just a bully. You're a jerk. Yeah.
No matter what you do, you can't try to outlaw. I mean, we have laws in place for people that act like a-holes, but you can't outlaw being an a-hole.
Right. And then so we're gonna come back to this whole Paula Deen thing. Look, Martha Stewart went to prison. What does she have? 75 shows, 8 lines of pots and pans and clothing and everything else, and everybody's good with it.
Yeah.
Why? Because it was a white-collar crime. White, get it? See how I did that? But Paula Deen, who said something...
but Paula Deen grew up in the South where there's no tolerance. Martha Stewart grew up in Connecticut where it's okay to commit white-collar crimes. See where the problem is there? You see you see?
Oh yeah, I see. I see. It's a huge difference. One is a convicted criminal. The other said something 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just,
why am I the only one who is so twisted off about this right now?
Conservatives said Martha Stewart was straight up gangsta. So that needs to be...
Ken, what do you know about racism? Oh wait, never mind. I forgot you're black.
You know, it's one of those things where it's the mob rule mentality. Everyone's outraged, dump them. Everyone's happy, keep them.
But not everybody's outraged.
Remember what a victim they turned Martha Stewart into? And listen, she did her time. I'm fine with whatever happens after the fact. She did her time.
Yeah, she did her time. She comes back. But these media outlets and these they pick her up.
They turned her into this victim.
They did. But what I'm saying is she still kept her job. She's still making a ton of money.
Yeah.
But Paula Deen said something.
And good for her.
30 years ago.
I'm not down in what's her name, Martha Stewart. There, I could care less.
No, but I'm showing the ridiculousness between.
Right. The fact that Paula Deen, and a lot of it, I guarantee you, if she didn't have a Southern accent, a lot of it would be different. I think when people hear that Southern accent...
I think the Food Network is racist because she's white with a Southern accent. You like that?
Where's the Southern Poverty Law Center now? Because she's out of job, so she's technically going to be in poverty at some point.
Right.
She's from the South. It's a violation of law, you assholes. Where are you to help Paula Deen out? Unbelievable. So much.
Listen, why do you hate?
What?
Why are you so hateful about this?
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
This is the problem with this country right now.
Ain't got time for that?
Everything. Nobody
got time for that.
Everything's the hot button issue. Instead of, you know what? She was on the Today Show today, and she said.
She was on the Today Show today.
Yeah.
So what if she was on the Today Show yesterday?
The Tomorrow Show.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, that's confusing.
And she said, "Hey, you know what? If anyone's out there that never regretted saying anything, throw a stone, hit me in the head with it, and kill me. If there's one person that's walking this earth that never said anything that they wish they could take back, walk up to me, throw a stone, hit me in the head.
What about a monk who's like taken a vow of silence for like their entire life?
But then they didn't say anything first to take back.
Right, but that's not what you said. You said who
She
has
said if
never
you
said something.
Never said something that you regret. My apologies. Scumbag.
What if they never said anything at all? Then how could they regret it?
Right. I'm listen.
You're so listen, Pete
yourself
Puma.
over there.
It's hard for
Don't
you
hurt
to
yourself
confuse
over there.
yourself.
All right. Stick to what you
I
know.
love it. I love it when you start twisting off when you have absolutely no idea what to say, which is a lot.
But the simple fact is, she did make a mistake, and there's this huge, and just like in the Zimmerman trial, there's outrage over the race aspect of it, and very little is looked at on the fact aspect of it, or what happened. And she didn't hurt somebody specifically, and she apologized. What's the big deal? In this country, it has to be a big deal, because that's the only way that mainstream media sells crap. That's the only way that these big networks and these, in this particular situation, I'm sure Al Sharpton had something to say, because, never waste a good moment to pay himself on the race card. Same thing with Jesse Jackson. All those guys that come out when all of a sudden, where are these guys in Chicago walking around the streets yelling at these inner city African American and black kids for shooting at each other? Why aren't they there at the forefront stopping that violence, saving those kids from doing something that could take somebody else's life away and their life? Why aren't they there doing that? But you best damn well believe the Voters' Right Act come out, and Al Sharpton's talking about, how...
I want to...
What?
I want to read something from Southern Poverty Law Center's website, and it's going to dovetail into our next segment here. So it says what we do, and I'm going to quote their website. It's www.splcenter.org/what-we-do. Just so because they're lawyers, just because they're lawyers, and I don't want to get sued. So it says the Southern. What are they going to take? Our monitor. The Southern Poverty Law Center is dedicated to fighting hate and bigotry and to seeking justice for the most vulnerable members of our society. So they don't want to seek justice for everybody. They don't want to seek justice equally. They want to seek justice only for the most vulnerable members of our society. Okay. Using litigation, education, and other forms of advocacy, we work toward the day when the ideals of equal justice and equal opportunity will be a reality. We employ a three-pronged strategy to battle racial and social injustice. 1, we track the activities of hate groups and domestic terrorists across America, and we launch innovative lawsuits that seek to destroy networks of radical extremists. Let me see. I went on that list. Well, the Patriot group was listed in there as and Oath Keepers was listed in there as these radical extremists. Interesting. Okay. The next one, we use the courts and other forms of advocacy to win systematic reforms on behalf of victims of bigotry and discrimination. Right. So now, if you're a victim, if somebody doesn't like you because of some reason, and the final one is it said we provide educators with free resources that teach school children to reject hate, embrace diversity, and respect differences. Now, that's the one I have a huge issue with. First of all, why is it your job or the school's job to teach children about anything other than, look, your job is easy. Math, science, reading, arithmetic, art, history, the classics, history the way it's supposed to be. That's your job. Not hate or lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender studies, which passed in California. That's not your job. So, and look, this is going to dovetail right into the whole Defense of Marriage Act ruling that came out by the Supreme Court. We said earlier in the show, we say it now. You have the right to do whatever you want, liberty. And we're kind of libertarian in this, and this discussion is going to piss off some of our conservative listeners, and I'm totally okay with that too. We just pissed off all the liberals. Now we're going to piss off the conservatives.
Have no friends again. Just like my days in high school.
So the Supreme Court came out,
right,
and they basically threw out the Federal Defense of Marriage Act.
Right.
And so now legally married homosexual couples can get the same benefits, tax benefits and so forth, as legally married heterosexual couples.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it, and I think we're pretty much on the same page with this. Look, we've talked about what we believe our marriage is defined as. I believe government, states or federal government, should have zero say in what defines a marriage. If a state wants to license and call it a civil union, whatever it is, that's fine. But a marriage, I believe, is a religious thing, and if a church wants to support a same-sex marriage, then fine. If a church wants to not support a same-sex marriage and not have those same-sex marriages performed there, then fine. So if you're a same-sex couple, and in my opinion, if you go to a church that recognizes same-sex marriage and you get married there, then call it a marriage.
Right.
And you should be entitled to the same rights and benefits of any other married couple, because what if you've been with that person, you love that person, whether I agree with that lifestyle or not, it doesn't matter. You have that right, and I support that. So you get married and you're in love with this person, you spend your life with them, now you're on your deathbed. You know what? That person should be able to execute your will, right? That person should be able to be at your deathbed, make medical decisions for you if it's your choice. It's your life, it's your death. Okay? But so I'm okay with this ruling. But again, I disagree with the concept of marriage being defined by the states or by government. It shouldn't be. Now, if you want to be married and now you have to get a license for a civil union for tax status or whatever, okay, we can debate that one way or another. So I think it's perfectly acceptable for me to allow same-sex couples that are legally married to get those same benefits. Now, on the flip side of that, I don't want my children or whatever to be taught lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender studies in school, okay? Because that's not your job. What you do in your own home with your children, with your love life, with your sex life, with your personal relationships is your business. And I support your right to engage in that, to raise your children how you see fit. But that should be reciprocated. Right? That should be reciprocated. I should be free to teach my children what I believe is acceptable based upon religious beliefs or not. Look, I don't believe, I am not a proponent I don't believe, for me personally, that same-sex relationships are okay in the eyes of God. That's my religious belief system. I'm not going to judge somebody for it, and I will be the first one to stand up for their rights to engage in whatever relationship they decide to engage in, or get married if that's what a church is going to recognize. But don't tell me that I have to teach my children, or tell a school that my child goes to, that they have to learn about these things as being okay, or that they have to accept them.
Well, as we talked about before the show, we were all about individual liberty on this show.
Yes.
And you went into that, and I thought you covered it really well, and I am of the same mindset. What people do inside their homes is their business. Mm-hmm. As long as they're a free, sound mind.
Or in their personal relationships.
Hey, you're a legal adult, and it's legal for you to have a civil union, sound mind, not my problem.
Right. I support your right to engage in that.
And it's just as wrong for me to say that you can't do it as wrong as it would be for you to say because I'm heterosexual, you don't. It can go either way.
Right.
So I think when it comes to intimate relationships, the government has no right there.
Right.
And if, as I said before, I used a completely ridiculous, if at the end of this world, for some reason, you and I were living in a one-room place together.
Chuck and Larry.
Yeah, exactly. Chuck and Larry, prime example. Why does it have to be about a relationship? Why can't it be a person that I just trust? It could be an old war buddy who saved my life 30 times, and now I'm alone. Or, you hear those sad stories about the one person who lost their entire family in a tragedy, and they have that one friend who's with them. Why can't it be between those two? If you're going to do a civil union, why does it have to be relationship-related?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't it be about trust? But again, that's not for me.
Which is what a relationship
is all about.
Should be all about, right?
What happens behind people's doors is none of the government's business at all. No different than they can tell you how to wear your haircut or what you have to watch on TV. Oh, they already do that. And it's not the point. It's almost like they can tell you that they're going to listen to your phone calls at any... Yeah. All right, this is one of the things they should really leave alone, is what I'm saying. All the other crap, but
they should leave alone also.
They should leave alone too, but now they're even further. They're beyond listening to your phone calls, and they're putting themselves in your bed with your spouse or your partner, and that to me is unacceptable. And again, as I said before we went on the air, It's this. I get the same way, and I've heard this argument from people that are against same-sex marriages all the way around, and civil unions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they're walking down the street, they're making out in public. That forces me to have the conversation. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
It does force me to have a conversation with my child.
But you said you don't like heterosexual couples doing that either.
Couples do it
right?
Either.
Because what if I'm not ready to explain the birds and the bees to my
what if you're
kids
that
or whatever?
person walking around, and I'm sure that I know for a fact, Rooster's got a child who's beyond that. But a few years ago, where, hey, Daddy, what are they doing? What's that guy doing to that girl? Is he hurting her?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great. I'm in a Jack in the Box trying to order breakfast, and now I have to have that talk that I wanted. My wife and I talked about it. We're going to do it on this day. We're going to do it together. And it doesn't matter. Don't force me to have that conversation on either side. Have respect for your fellow man.
So would you saying by engaging in that type of behavior, like just all over, right, feeling up and everything else in public, that they are infringing upon your liberty to have the conversation with your child when you want?
Yeah.
Interesting point of view.
And I almost think it.
So you would support a law that says. So you would support a law that says, okay. So again, but now we're getting down that slippery slope, right?
It is a slippery slope.
What's lewd?
Well, what constitutes a victim on a lot of crimes has to feel like a victim. You have to feel.
See, but now you're talking. But now, okay, so now you're talking about feelings and going down that whole road.
But for me personally, I feel that's lewd.
Okay.
When you do that, I think it's inappropriate.
Okay. So I would agree that maybe at times that some of that can get inappropriate.
But my personal opinion is that lewd. Now, you brought up the law thing. I didn't say I wanted to call for a law to change that. This falls along the line of personal responsibility in this country.
Okay.
That I think people need to accept.
Okay. So we have norms of behavior in society, and everybody should respect and have certain and everybody should have, and there should be certain boundaries that are set up. If you want to kiss your spouse, girlfriend, whatever, fine, hold hands, that's fine. But if you're rubbing breasts and squeezing boobies and all that stuff,
a little kiss on the cheek to hug, that's fine.
Yeah.
I have no problem with
But if you've got her leg up around your neck and you're grabbing her butt and your tongue is in her ear, maybe a different story.
You might want to go around the corner doing something.
Okay.
But, and again, when it's teenagers, I'm like, all right, they're doing this because their parents aren't around, and it's almost like one of those things where I'm just, once you get to the point that you're a young adult or an adult, you should know that other people don't want to see it. No different than if I was wearing, I don't know,
listen, I'm gonna
say
some people want to see it, which is why the porn industry is so big.
In the privacy of your own home.
Okay.
It would almost be like me wearing a Speedo. I can do it. It doesn't mean it's right.
Matter of fact, there's an interesting picture posted.
But so that's our whole thing on DOMA. I agree with you. I think that it's going to stay out of the way. Prop 8 was essentially a punt.
Yeah, look, Prop 8 basically
with the P,
said
Rooster, that was punt with the P.
Punt. They basically said, look, since the state didn't defend its own law, the people didn't have a standing to bring it forward. Now, I disagree with this ruling because I think that government gets its authority from the people.
I was going to say, aren't we the people?
And the people in this case voted, and government basically seized power back from the people by saying, no, we're not going to enforce this law that your will imposed. And I think their point of view may have been, you know what, because you elected representatives to represent you on your behalf, and they didn't pass it. Therefore, we're a republic when it's convenient for them, I guess. But
that was one of those things.
So then because the AG wouldn't defend it, now the people trying to take. I think an argument could be made that under California law, the people had standing because power comes from the people. The government failed to respect the power of the people, and with this ruling, you now have the proposition system in California to where the government can ignore the will of the people entirely.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And that's one of the things.
But here's the thing: that people, in order to seize power back, have to pay attention, and this is where voting comes in.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Whether I agree or disagree, the power goes to the people when you're, especially in the states, when you're voting. That's the way it is. Whether I like, hey, listen, it's no different than when they put votes out for legislation that I am against, is like gun legislation, ridiculous stuff like that, where you only have to convince a majority of the people in your higher population area, California is the great example. Higher population areas are the most liberal, the highest density of population. So you can ignore the rest of the state. In one of the biggest states in the country, you can ignore 2/3 of the state geographically, as long as you go to that one location and trump up all of your support. It doesn't matter what you're supporting.
San Francisco and Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, liberal as liberal as California is, Proposition 8 passed.
Yeah. Well,
Proposition 8 passed, and that's the amazing thing. So on one hand, we agree with the Supreme Court on their defense of marriage ruling, I think, and the Proposition 8 ruling. I think they punted.
They chickened out.
They chickened out, which the court likes to do.
I think Bunny said that. A new sackhead who follow of ours on Twitter's in the chat room, and I believe
Hello.
That's what she said. When we come back, we have Rooster on hold. We have the exceptional conservative on hold. You do not want to miss this because I can't promise, but I know it's going to be a train wreck. Back in 3 with the Sackheads Radio.
Hello, I'm Lori, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Dr. Larry Arnn on how the founders viewed God as the source of our equality and legal rights.
America's founders knew, obviously, that human beings are not equal in terms of strength or beauty, or in terms of intelligence, industry, or talents. They understood that because of such differences in talents and things like that, some people will be wealthier than others. But human beings are equal, the founders believe, in their possession of natural rights, such as the rights to life, liberty, and property. Today, many Americans reject this equality of rights in order to pursue equality of condition through redistribution, or spreading the wealth around, to use a famous formulation. This is destructive of liberty as the founders understood it.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hey guys, it's Shaun from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Shaun and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, POLITIGAL Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PolitigalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PolitigalNetwork.com or Twitter at PolitigalUSA.
Now back to Clint and Shaun on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
We're back. I gotta say, one thing I'm glad we're not discussing tonight is the Zimmerman trial. I'm so sick of hearing about that.
I am so glad you brought that up.
I am so tired of hearing about that place. We're gonna what? We said in pre-production we weren't going there.
No matter what, we are not going.
Red, white, blue. Let's go, son. A flag waver.
Is he coming in the studio?
No.
Is he here?
Fellow radio show host Rooster for the Conservative Outcry Show and conservativeoutcry.net joins us now on the Sackheads Radio Show.
I'm home. I feel so comfortable.
We
We brought you in from out of the cold.
Is it wrong that you feel more comfortable on our show than your own?
Yeah, it is.
Is that a problem?
Hey, did you listen to the show, Clint?
I did not.
Oh, you got to listen to the end because I had Jesse Jackson reading Green Eggs and Ham.
That might have been one of the funniest things I've heard in a long time.
No, I will. I have not had an opportunity. I've been out of the area all week. I have not had an opportunity to hear the show. I just got back in today, and I'm reading again first thing in the morning.
Why doesn't Bunny follow me on Twitter?
Because you're not the Sackheads.
Because you're not the Sackheads.
I'm afraid to say anything else because I saw her Blog Talk Radio profile, and I don't know how old she is because I'm just going to leave it alone.
Well, Rooster, it's really hard. It's kind of like when
I'm sure she'll follow you out.
At your age, it's a lot like being up in an airplane, looking out the window and trying to guess how high you are and how fast you're going. Unless you have the answer right in front of you, you're not going to do well.
Hey, Clint, I saw that thing on the Oath Keepers site. Where have I seen that before? That oath. I think I took it.
Which yeah. There's two. There's an oath for veterans, and then there's the oath for law enforcement that they have listed on their site also. Because when I saw that, when I was doing this research with the Southern Poverty Law Center, and I was like, no way. And I started really looking into it, and I saw Oath Keepers. That doesn't sound, and some of the other groups on there, and I was like, oh, yeah, these guys sound like a real bunch of dirtbags. I mean, seriously?
Well, I read through it. It was the same thing I did when I enlisted. I mean, almost word for word.
Yeah. It is absolutely.
So they're saying, please continue to keep your oath then, right?
That's exactly. And yet they're listed as, there was even an article on there where one of their members, the fact that they were a member of the Oath Keepers was used against them in like determining child custody.
Oh my goodness!
Was used against them. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I heard, and that's how kind of this bit got started for this week, because where I was, that story got to me. I was with some other conservatives, and they said, "Hey, did you hear about this group?" and related the story, and so I started doing research, which led me kind of down this road we went to, and it just happened to dovetail perfectly into the SCOTUS decision with some of the stuff on their website, but. Unbelievable.
Well, hey, listen, guys. I do want to talk Zimmerman, but not in the way that you think I want to talk Zimmerman. But real quick, I went to an all-boys Catholic school, and I'll tell you right now, I gladly would have taken a class in lesbian studies. Did you go to an all-boys Catholic school like last year, like a couple weeks ago? Because that could be weird. Or are you talking about when you were actually a school-age child? When I was actually a school-age child. I don't drive by the school daily now with candy.
I know. Look, we have inquiring minds want to know. We have some listeners that may have thought that sounded really odd, and we want people to listen to your show. So I was helping you out.
All right, now listen. I'm going to give you a. No, Bunny said yep. No, Bunny needs to listen to my show. It gets darker. I'm just going to say it's darker. Not in the Ken way.
I was going to say Ken's show is actually darker, but
actually it is. And listen, I'm going to tell you something about hip hop. I've got an assignment for you guys. Strange phenomenon with hip hop music. Actually, it's in the music videos. Whenever they're singing a song about like love, there'll be water in the video, but it won't be just any water. It'll be like rain or a bathtub. But if they're singing a song just about women, they're always poolside.
I'm going to believe you because I don't watch a lot of hip-hop.
Yeah, I don't. Listen,
it's true.
I wear cowboy boots, so I'm going to leave it at that. But I believe you. We can research this.
So Shaun, you came on. You came on last week, and we had a discussion last week on my show.
Yes.
And we were talking a little bit about the Zimmerman trial, and I raised the point that I was scared as to what may happen if they don't get what they want. And I've been watching the Zimmerman trial. I've watched every day of it, but not on Fox News. I watched it on Headline News on TV.
Yeah.
And they are so slanted. Now let me give you a rundown real quick of, getting past that knock-knock joke, which was bad form.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was, and I'll give them that. But as you know, I do have a law enforcement background, and I'm watching this, hopefully with an open mind, and I've seen the defense, Amira and West, who, if you haven't watched the trial, they're not the buffoons they were made out to be.
Well, no.
They have taken every single witness for the prosecution and turned them into a witness for the defense. You've had a woman that said she had sympathy for both the Martin and Zimmerman families because of this incident, yet she signed a petition at change.org to put Zimmerman in jail. You've had a woman that assumes that it was Trayvon Martin on the bottom because she saw pictures of him in the news when he was 12. You've had a woman that heard 3 shots, and today you had their star witness, who you just have to watch today, and I'm not even going to go any further. But here's my point. This is, I'm looking at the prosecution, and they can't be this inept. I don't think they would have touched this case with a 10-foot pole if they had a choice in the matter. But these guys, they're reaching for a murder too conviction with this kind of evidence. I mean, come on, guys.
Well, hey, do you remember in I believe it was Oakland, California, the BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit officer, Messerschmitt, that accidentally shot and killed a youth. Right, he was reaching for his taser, pulls his gun, and shoots Messerschmitt in the back. And in the video, you see the officer like lean his head back, like I think he mouthed "oh shit" or something like that. Like you could clearly see it was an act. Now look, I'm not saying that manslaughter wouldn't apply because he had training and blah blah blah, but they went murder for that, and they charged him with committing a felony with a gun. Never mind the fact that he was required to carry that as part of his equipment to work, right? He's required to carry that. Right. But they went murder on him because of the political outfall. And so that is such a travesty. Again, I'm not saying he shouldn't have been liable for that, because he should have been. Look, he shot and killed somebody, and he was reaching for the wrong tool and pulled the wrong tool. But it's not a murder case. And I think you're running into the same thing here. It's politically motivated rather than legally motivated.
Yeah, but I mean, Clint, it gets worse. I mean, one of the witnesses described the body in such a manner that he would have had to have been shot in the back. And not only that, they even got the crime scene technician to admit that she only did a cursory search for blood in the area and found none, when they knew, just based on the injuries to both the victim and Zimmerman, or if Zimmerman were the victim, they both had injuries. There had to be blood.
Yeah. But
they found none. I mean, they have poked so many holes in this case that I would be tempted to, after the prosecution wraps up, to move for an acquittal right there, or say the defense has nothing. However, it's 2013, and the courts are crazy. They're going to have to put on a defense.
Well,
yeah. I agree with you, because if the judge does it, if the judge throws that out, now the judge is going to get strung up and burn an effigy.
Or the all-white jury is going to get strung up, and I agree with the judge. I like, honestly, I like this judge. She's no nonsense. She sequestered the jury. I'm glad she did that. I don't like trials on TV.
No, I agree with you.
I don't think this should be on TV at all, but since it is, I'm watching.
You know what? I think you have a public trial. They're set up, and our system is set up to where this is your public proceedings. I don't have any problem with them being on television, because if they're open to the public, then the public, if they want to know, should be able to know what's going on in any courtroom. I mean, I think
the guys at Headline News had little statues of jury members out on the desk with numbers, and they were actually debating which jury person the prosecution is speaking to now. And then they would have a whole segment on that.
Now the coverage may be crap, but I think they have a right to know what's going on in a public forum.
I watched.
Here's the other thing about the coverage that I noticed.
I watched some of the headline news coverage with the Jodi Arias trial and a couple other trials. They are just throwing crap at the wall to see what'll stick. It is amazing to me how much they influence people's decisions, because they say they're covering the trial, but you're not watching any of the trial. The trial's usually in the 2x3 box in the bottom right-hand corner, and you have these quote-unquote professionals who are sitting here telling you what's really going on. Just turn on the damn trial and stop adding your opinion. I really want to know what's going on. And that's why I haven't watched any of it, because I saw some of that with the Arias trial, because I wanted to see how bad that was blown out of proportion, which it was right. And I think
Shaun, you have to catch today's witness just for the comedic value alone, especially where they ended.
Yeah.
Where she said, "Oh no, we ended today," and the defense attorney says, "No, I think I need another 2 or 3 hours with you," and she goes, "With you? Oh no."
The witness said that?
Yes, the witness said that, Clint.
That is so great.
I kid you not.
It's going to be interesting to see if there's some sort of. You can't. Obviously, there's not going to be. I don't know if there'll be a mistrial, but I agree that they'll be moved to acquittal. I also have much concern over how many phone calls were made from politicians to judges and whatnot, saying, hey, no matter what, you need to really kind of make sure this goes over smoothly, because this could lead to some sort of civil unrest. You know, after, and we were talking about the police officer in Oakland, I think it was.
The BART officer,
Missouri.
yeah.
Well, it's like I told Andrea on our show, I think they're setting up the story to be that.
He was found guilty and sentenced, and there was still these people that were getting upset and they were rioting and everything. And it's like, hey, if you watched and you paid attention, he was found guilty. And
was he found guilty of manslaughter?
Involuntary, if I remember right. I think it was involuntary.
That's why.
Yeah, I understand.
That's why.
That. They're trying to, but they could.
These guys don't even have that on the table.
I know it's and I think Florida is an all or nothing state when it comes to a lot of these things. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, what's weird, and I'm going to leave you guys after this because I've taken up too much of your time, but when going back to the headline news coverage, you can watch it, and when the prosecution's on, you'll get a good 20-minute chunk of them, but when cross comes from the defense, you get 3 minutes here, commercial, 3 minutes, commercial, 3 minutes, commercial, 3 minutes, commercial.
Well, yeah, it's not appropriate. It doesn't fit their narrative. It doesn't fit
the
overall.
It's so obviously slanted. It really bothers me.
Well, and you look at, but you look at so much that's happened this past week, in politics alone, and how mainstream media curtails this to every way they possibly can to meet the narrative that they're trying to push, as we talk about all the time. And the rest of us in the media, and I will say I am part of the media, try to say, hey, let's draw the facts out of this and discuss what actually occurred, not what you want to have happened.
That, and we're an opinion show, so we can say whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, but
Agreed.
When we just things, we try.
Why
to
are you pointing a pen at me?
Because I want you to write down something. We generally discuss the facts first and then derive our opinion from that. We don't interject opinion into the facts and then try to draw another opinion off that. And
I make up facts to follow my own opinion.
Well, at your age, it's cute.
Good job. I didn't realize you were Chris Matthews.
Yeah, I know.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Are you the next host of Hardball?
Hey, Pierce.
Oh, there's so many jokes there. And Clint, when you said slippery slope,
I am going to make
there were so many jokes there.
What you have coming up this Friday on the Outcry radio show?
I don't even know yet.
I love a man with a plan.
I am completely ad-libbing and taking calls.
Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to seeing it on, I think it's 7 on the West, 10 on the East on Outcry Radio and Blog Talk. And check out conservativeoutcry.net for everything our good friend Rooster writes down. Rooster, my friend, thank you so much for calling in. You were outstanding.
Okay, now go forth and talk about penis in a light socket in the next segment.
That was outstanding, too. I'm not telling Clint about that because I want him to listen to that show. It's very important to get the context on that. I will talk to you, I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right,
Rooster,
see you
have a
guys.
good night,
That was an outstanding bit.
Was he talking? Now, did you tell him about that story from when I was in a fraternity?
No, this
because that sounded.
This is something.
So I just outed myself on the air.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we can edit that.
Now, we're going to go from one call to the other because our good friend Ken from the Exceptional Conservative Show is on the air. Now, Rooster gets his own intro music, and I've been thinking this week that we need to come up with something from Ken. He's a regular contributor, and he's a good friend of ours. So I'm trying to find something that would be good for Ken, and I think I finally got it. Now,
you think you got it?
Stick with me on
okay.
The Exceptional Conservative Show. How are you, my friend?
Wow, that sounds like I'm trying to take my wife out to dinner. You know what I'm saying? We get things revved up, babe. Wow. Good evening. Thank y'all so much for allowing me to come on your humble abode. Just one more.
It was either the crickets or this one. I don't know which one you wanted more.
We ain't found shit.
That one. That won't work. That's a whole lot better. That's much, much better. Wow. Hey, listen. Speaking of Trayvon Martin, this week, yours truly, and let me just go through the listing of statements here. I had one person who said, "Stop trying to fit in with white America. You're black and still a target. When they on you, you're going to need blacks. I mean more." Yeah. Okay.
What?
Let's not forget to mention this child was in the morgue for weeks before the family was even notified of his murder. Really? Another delusion. Hey, I've been called another delusional beneficiary of white privilege, trying to tell black people how to think. Yeah.
Hey, congratulations on that.
Hey,
thank you.
Ken,
I'm just trying to serve white America long enough to get my race card. That's all, you know.
It's in the mail, buddy. I'm going to send it over to you as soon as I can. We had a meeting and you're in.
Wow.
You know, we talk.
Wow.
It's weird because we voted.
What great day to be gay in America! I tell you, makes me want to go out and get a boyfriend now, boy. I tell you. Forget this woman thing, boy. That's not working out here in America. We believe in same-sex everything. Cut down on the clothing allowance.
Except you do not want a unisex bicycle seat. Believe you me.
Take the seat off, man. Take the seat off. That's America's standard now.
I want to ask you about the Voter Right Act vote that came out, and more.
Shaun, why you got to be asking me about the voter right? Like I can't talk to you about the Hoover Supreme Court case where you get the property rights and everything all right. I can't talk to you about gay rights. I can't talk to you about. I gotta talk with you about voting rights for black people. You know we lost our right to vote. We can't vote no more in America.
I don't see anywhere specifically that in the Voter Right Act that had anything to do with African Americans specifically.
Shaun,
yes.
You have not been educated in constitutional law. See, where I came from in the 11th grade when we studied UBS Constitution, I found out that we were not allowed to vote until Jesse Jackson ran for election in 1988. That was the first time people in this country were allowed to vote. And I was real proud
for the first time to be able to tell a black man who was carrying a color TV said, run. Just run.
Dude, I'm telling you, stand up. You need to do stand up. So a huge person that you admire, and I know this. Al Sharpton went on.
Well, hang on a second, because I was confused by something.
I thought you were going to say the New Jersey governor. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, Ken, I'm sorry. You said the first time black people were allowed to vote was when Jesse Jackson ran, and I've heard that same argument being made. But what happened in 1870 when the 15th Amendment got passed?
15th Amendment. What's that? A blues group? What is that? 15th Amendment. Ain't no 15th Amendment. It's a Bill of Rights and a Constitution. It's two things. Where did you get 15 from? You're so ignorant.
That's right. And I know you didn't listen to this week's show yet for Rooster. But
see, this is what happened to your IQ when you started listening to Al Sharpton. I'm sorry.
I'm going to get to that. But for our new listeners, who I'm going to out you, you have such an amazing understanding of history, and you can you're a lot like my partner on this show, where what you can recall off the top of your head in the specific dates, time in the history, and not for this entire country, is mind-boggling to me. So not only are you a complete comedic genius because you get us going every single time, but your knowledge about Constitution, history, I have to tip my hat to you. I have to read so much to keep up on certain things and to remind myself of certain things. I was blown away, as I always am with you, Ken, on Rooster's show. It is absolutely unbelievable.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. It's very important for African Americans to actually go where their tax dollars go, to that small place where they keep a lot of books that people don't read unless you tell them it's $100 in the middle of it. The library.
Yeah, and then even then, all I do is skip through till I find it and keep going.
Hey, Ken, why are you being so divisive and hateful right now to where you're suggesting that people take responsibility for their own education?
Wow.
You know the Southern Poverty Law Centers are going to be all up you for saying that until they realize that you're actually black, and then they're going to be like, whoa, I don't know where to go on this. Does not compute.
No, actually, they will still be all up me because it's a gay kind of thing to do down there. Squeal that pig. Anyway, the whole idea that individuals need to get back to the basic fundamentals of this Constitution. I'm looking back over from about 1880 towards the end of Reconstruction, all the way up to about 1898, about that time period when we were making the transition that we're making right now. However, we were making a transition from free market capitalistic adventure and exploration. We were moving towards socialism. And during the late 1920s, when African Americans were given the choice between, creating your own business and doing exceedingly well in terms of ownership, FDR came up with a noble idea of trying to get people back get them for the first time into the Democrat Party. And the whole idea is trade your ambition for individual success for a good government job. And we spent the next 100 years encouraging our young people to get a good government job. We make up the majority of individuals as a population on good government jobs. Unfortunately, we have only 7 banks in all of the country. So it tells you exactly where we went wrong in our faith. We put our trust in FDR instead of keeping our trust in God.
Yeah, and I think that's where you really see the explosion of the federal government. And really, I look at FDR as not so much as a completer of Woodrow Wilson's work and progressive vision, but I mean, really I think Woodrow Wilson got a good start on it. I think he was a horrible person, as well as a horrible president. And he kind of started the whole. He was really the first big progressive, in my opinion, that started some of the stuff. And then FDR was really the great implementer to push the progressive agenda along even further. And now I think we have Obama, where if he's successful, he will actually darn near complete the progressive transformation. So you almost have the trilogy of American progressive presidents in the transformation of this country.
Exactly, but they all owe their standing to a rhino.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yep, you're absolutely right.
The world's first great rhino. Then followed John McCain. No.
Yeah. Well, didn't John McCain know Teddy Roosevelt?
Yeah, I think
they went to school together or something.
John was in his late 30s
when Teddy was in office. Yeah. Well, matter of fact, that might have been McCain's first term, right?
Yeah. I think it was probably his first term. But Teddy Roosevelt really got us going in that direction with the siding with the environmentalists and also with some of the decisions that were made pursuant to business and monopolies and things of that particular nature. All that pushed us mightily. If it wasn't for individuals like Calvin Coolidge that for a time period kept us on the road towards the free market system, there'd be no doggone way that we would have had a Ronald Reagan.
And avoiding the conservatives, we avoided the depression of the 1920s. And entered into a great period of prosperity. But I would that was weird. My microphone totally just cut out. Were you hearing me okay?
This is how white people treat you. This is how white people treat you. Talk to the black people when you tune in and you sound all educated. They don't want to hear that.
Nobody is listening to your telephone calls.
I'd like to get your opinion on something, Ken, when we come back from the break. But I want to pose it to you to give you a couple minutes to think about it. I talked about this evil trilogy, this trilogy of presidents. Do you think now in this country, because there is some tension and so forth, do you think now the air in this country is more like that from the era just prior to the American Revolution, or is it similar to the air about 1854 to 1859, just prior to the American Civil War, or is it something completely different? Because I have my opinion on it. I'm curious to see what you have to say on it, and we have to get to a break. Would you mind hanging on for us?
Oh, I'm here. Thank you, brother.
We'll be back in a minute with Sackheads Radio.
Hello, I'm Lori, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Dr. Larry Arnn on how the founders viewed God as the source of our equality and legal rights.
America's founders knew, obviously, that human beings are not equal in terms of strength or beauty, or in terms of intelligence, industry, or talents. They understood that because of such differences in talents and things like that, some people would be wealthier than others. But human beings are equal, the founders believe, in their possession of natural rights, such as the rights to life, liberty, and property. Today, many Americans reject this equality of rights in order to pursue equality of condition through redistribution, or spreading the wealth around, to use a famous formulation. This is destructive of liberty as the founders understood it.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hey guys, it's Shaun from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Shaun and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PoliticalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PoliticalNetwork.com or Twitter at PoliticalUSA.
Now back to Clint and Shaun on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
And we're back. Ken from the Exceptional Conservative Show is joining us. The phone number is 347-205-9399. Don't know if we'll be able to get to more calls, but you can try. You know, I answer the phone, so it's completely up to me. Hey, Ken.
Yes. Can I say this first to Rooster? Rooster did a darn good show, and people need to go to the archives for Rooster's show.
I couldn't agree more.
God, that was a good show.
I thought it was a great show. I thought he did a good job.
Wow.
I love it when elderly people learn technology. It really gives me a warm feeling inside.
No, actually, that was the nursing assistant.
Hey, Ken. Hey, Ken. Right before the break, I asked you a question. Would you mind? I'm just curious to get your thoughts on what you think the feeling politically and among the citizenry is now compared to other times in history, or if there is any similarity.
I have never at one time in the history of the United States seen a group of people feel more powerless and at the same time more hopeful and right now. And from my studies, I would have to go back to the Revolutionary War period, because you had even forgive me, his name escapes me, but he was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, a late signer of that, and he was even up until the last, he was attempting to try a treaty with King George. Saying that we would submit to certain perfunctory, taxation issues, and we would do such and such if you would just give us one more chance. While the revolutionary people were saying, you know what, this is not going to work. We just can't operate as an independent body that believes in free markets and believes in liberty and freedom. We can't operate under the auspices of a tyrant. And so we must separate ourselves with great stride. It wasn't until that summer that he received King George's rebuff that he decided, John Jay, the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, in fact, who was one of the writers and assistants on the Declaration of Independence. It wasn't until he received the rebuff finally from the tyrant King George that he decided that, you know what, I better go with the rebels on this one. At least I'll be on the best end at the end of all of this if we are successful. And lo and behold, he was. I really believe that today the worst thing that could have happened, at least for the liberals. They have their victory, but they will dance upon the graves of the conservatives for only so long. I believe that we're about to rise up. And during the revolutionary period, 1/3 of Americans cared, 1/3 of Americans preferred to be under the tyrant, and 1/3 of Americans did not care at all and did not participate in the Revolutionary War. I think we're right there right now, where 1/3 of us who are not rhinos, who are conservatives, who care about freedom, who care about liberty, who care about the true positions of the Supreme Court in Article 3, the true position of the President in Article 2, without the great empowerment through executive orders that we now see, because if you go back originally, executive orders was not a daily occurrence. It was a very rare occurrence, and it needed to be done on principle basis, constitutional basis. And then the institution that's supposed to have the greatest amount of power is showing the greatest amount of weakness and deference, and that is the U.S. Congress. And the only way that we can truly take back this country without incivility is to take back the Congress with true conservatives who respect the U.S. Constitution and know the original intent.
And I agree with you on that. There was also John Dickinson, who he was in the Continental Congress. He did not sign the Declaration of Independence, but he was part of the Olive Branch petition to King George. And because he refused to sign the Declaration, they passed that not bill, but they passed that rule that anybody refusing to sign it could not participate in the Congress. So he voluntarily left, but then he joined the Pennsylvania militia. And after the Declaration of Independence was issued, he was actually given the rank of general in the Pennsylvania militia and went on to fight in the war. I think that the people maybe have a lot of the people with their frustrations and also their hope. It kind of gives that feel to maybe the early 18th century colonists. But I also think that the states politically, some of them have this feeling almost like 1854 esque feelings because of their government. And I think a big part of that is, and again, got to thank our friend Woodrow Wilson and that whole group with the passage of the 17th Amendment. The states lost all their representation at the federal level, and that was not by accident. It was packaged under the guise of, there's so much corruption. Well, then the people need to vote better legislators to send these senators off. But when that happened, and we've talked about it before, the states lost their representation at the federal level. The people are represented by the House, as supposed to be, but the states were supposed to be represented in the Senate. And if something's good for the people and something's good for the states, now it can be moved to the president for signing to law. But when the progressives were able to get rid of that, and now you have direct election of senators, you have the people represented in the House and the people represented in the Senate, you now move more towards a democracy, which was never what our government is set up to be. And as such, states have lost a lot of their sovereignty. They're powerless to get it back because what Congress is going to pass a law or ratify a constitutional amendment to abolish the 17th Amendment. And so you have some frustration at the state level through state governments, I believe, also, which I mean, I don't remember in my lifetime hearing of petitions going to the White House to secede from the Union. Whether they're serious or not, I don't recall hearing. And from how many different states sent those? So I would say that it's a mixed atmosphere.
Colorado right now.
Yeah, Colorado wants to. So there's counties in Colorado that want to secede and form their own state. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I agree with I agree with you in your analysis. I really do. The problem I have with the analysis is one of emotion, and I tell you, it was a God-ordained providential thing that we survived the Civil War intact. That was the greatest accomplishment by any president in the history of the United States of America, period, that we were able to get through. And lo and behold, let me just make this very clear to those who have been miseducated by the public school system and also by those who are being miseducated in the black community. Abraham Lincoln did not free the slaves, okay? It was the U.S. Constitution and the passage by the state, and especially some of those states that you want to never have an opportunity to take control over their election responsibilities, that supported the amendments necessary for there to be due process, for African Americans to be considered a part of the U.S. government and part of United States America as citizens. So it was not by the hand of one man, but the hand and heart and blood of many men that we are free this particular day. They observed what God did from the beginning. They did not create special rights for us.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it was Frederick Douglass who first believed that the Constitution was a bigoted document until he read the debates on the Constitution. And if I'm remembering my facts correctly, he had an issue with the 3/5 clause. And look, the Constitution provided a drop-dead date for the importation of slaves, which was a huge step. But in order to ratify the Constitution and form a solid government, as you're aware, you had to get the votes of everybody. So the compromise that was met was to count slaves and African Americans as 3/5 for purposes of census only, because the argument from the South was, well, they're people, so we should get more representatives because we have more population. And the North said, whoa, whoa, whoa. If they're people, then they're entitled to all the rights outlined in our Declaration as every other person. And the South said, well, no, but they're property. And the North said, well, okay, then this chair is property, so why can't we count all the chairs in our district and have more representation? And so a compromise was struck for 3/5 to be counted as for census only in order to keep the number of pro-slavery representatives down so that slavery could eventually be overturned and abolished like they knew it would be.
Yeah, but, that is not one story of truth that's ever reported by the Al Charlatans and the Jesse hop over your mama and get her pregnant Jackson. You don't hear those particular stories simply because it pays to keep people ignorant. And I want to say this while I'm on the air tonight, and I've said it on my show, but I want to make it clear on every show that I have an opportunity to go on, at least once. You have some poverty pimps who are trying to leave the Democrat Party and come into the GOP and join the rhinos in terms of expanding the progressive agenda. I want there to be a wake-up call across America. When I signed on board to be a conservative, it was at birth. I realized I was a conservative long before anyone in school taught me what conservatism was. And in fact, it wasn't until I got out of school and did the research to find that out. We are conservative people. We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, jackknifed, taken hostage by a certain party. There are people who are now trying to leave the Democrat Party because it is radical, and they like to make some money in the whole deal. They are selling their hearts, their minds, and their souls to get a bigger buck and a bigger interest in the deal. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not one of those people. I want my people, and that means Americans, to be free and laborious. That will never happen if we allow corruption to move from one side of the ledger to the other side of the ledger.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And this Supreme Court voter ID law that was ruled on. Look, did you hear Attorney General Holder's reaction to this?
No, I didn't listen to any of it. What I did was I read the Supreme Court docket for myself.
Absolutely.
And I recommended highly that no one ever take the advice of Attorney General Holder, who was able to swindle cartel owners into taking some 2,000 guns with ammo while trying to keep guns and ammo away from American citizens. Don't listen to him. He can't help you.
I agree, and we're big proponents of going to source documents, and we read the decisions as well. But he gave a warning to the states, right? So he gave a warning to the states. Again, state sovereignty comes up, where he says that the Justice Department will not hesitate to take, quote, swift action against states that are, again, his words, looking to take advantage of the ruling that the United States Supreme Court handed down. I was appalled by that.
I sincerely believe with my whole heart that American citizens who have, and this is the truth, we have not really been through a hardship since about 1930. And individuals wanted so much to see utopia come and vote this radical in that they were willing to sacrifice their liberty for the security of knowing that they were pursuing the right thing. We have a tyrant in office. We have a tyrant with a propaganda machine that's working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have a
7-Eleven
bureaucracy that's out of control, and we also have a group of people in Congress who are willing to subvert and surrender their authority to this particular man. We need to do whatever it takes at this particular juncture to take back the House, and I do mean take it back away from Boehner, to take back the Senate, and I do mean away from McConnell. And we need to begin thinking about ideas like the flat tax, the fair tax, and repairing the 17th Amendment so that states have their rights and they don't have to beg the Department of Justice for the privilege of voting.
Amen to that, sir. And talking about a flat tax, it brings us to you see another IRS manager invoke the Fifth Amendment in the House committee again today.
I can't wait till they go to jail.
So Greg Roseman, who was a deputy IRS director, awarded a contract, basically a big contract, to a close friend of his, a company called Strong Castle Incorporated, and
internet company, computer company coding,
right, which is prohibited under government contracting, and so he's questioned on the House, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to take the fifth.
Well, and the weird part about this too is this Roseman, he was in charge of the enterprise network and tier system support, computers and electronics.
Weird. Yeah, and his friend is Braulio Castillo. and look, this Castillo guy, he qualifies for a minority set-aside program because he put his business in a like a low-income area of Washington, D.C. He also gets another minority program run by Veterans Administration, which gives disabled veterans, certain advantages in federal contracting. But his disability was an ankle that he injured during football at the U.S. Military Academy Prep School 27 years ago. And the House Oversight Committee Congresswoman Tammy Duckworth, she's an Iraqi war vet, and she's a double amputee. And she says, quote, "I'm so glad that you'd be willing to play football in prep school again to protect this great country."
Wow.
Yeah. And then she says, "Shame on you, Mr. Castillo, shame on you." So this is just dirty, and this guy just gets in there before Congress. So more trouble for the IRS. Look, I think the IRS needs to be defunded or cut down so small that literally they're 3x5 cars that people say, this is what I made. I pay 10%, so here's the check.
There's a great headline if you search Tammy Duckworth. There's a great headline that says Duckworth uses robot feet to kick quote unquote disabled veterans' ass.
Well, injuries happen, and we just can't. He has gone through so much pain and suffering, and the psychological agony he must be going through as a veteran. The tour of duty on that field, we don't understand. So I have to give it up for the boy.
And look, I say this, and Rooster said it, and I agree with him in the chat room. What a disgrace that this person would even think to take that VA assistance or that Veterans Preference assistance for an ankle injury that happened playing football. I know veterans that have served in numerous different wars that have come back with injuries that they don't even report. It might be a sore shoulder or something, but something that later in life, my father was a prime example. My father in Vietnam had significant hearing loss, never reported to the VA, never tried to receive benefits as a result of it because he's one of those guys. He's like, it's not a big deal. It was my job, blah 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 blah. But you have all those veterans out there that deserve to get this because they've earned it, and then you have some guy who's playing, a kid's game at the end of the day. I mean, I love watching football, but it's a child's game. Twists his ankle, and all of a sudden he's a disabled veteran. No way.
For all our NFL listeners out there, that was Sackhead Shaun that said it's a kid's game.
It is a kid's
game.
And I love football, but it's a kid's game.
And
when it comes to this stuff,
don't come see me because I don't fight fair and I'm pro Second Amendment. Listen, you know what?
Now, if he was playing a real game like curling,
right. You know what?
Look, if I could say, I want to say this real quick. In terms of the issue of the Internal Revenue Service, that's a very poignant and paramount issue, and I hope to God that we will have a conservative Congress instead next November, so that we can operate on all of the claims against this particular administration, and that we take back the Senate. That's why West Virginia is very important. West Virginia is in play. We need to take back the Senate. But the one thing which is current that will truly destroy this republic, and the day it passes, you can just call it the USA, is the amnesty bill. We have to fight that bill. If we have to surround the U.S. Capitol so that the congressman can't enter the vote, we need to do that. Period.
We need to call our legislatures. Don't just tweet about it. I saw a great thing, and maybe it was you who sent it out, but there was a great tweet that said if all these tweets were phone calls, we'd be doing a lot better. So get out there and act. Email, tweet, do what you have to do, but make sure your senators know how you feel about this horrible.
And in California, it's going to make a real big difference with Feinstein and Boxer. So go ahead and get the. Oh.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'll tell you when our country will really be in trouble, Ken. Ken, our country will really be in trouble when a Muslim scholar who famously supports Hamas is actually invited into the White House to have a meeting. That's when we're in real trouble. Oh,
okay,
wait.
can I give you the scoop that has not? Can I give you the scoop that has not been reported yet in the papers?
Sheikh Abdullah bin Baya actually met with the Obama administration officials in the White House, which is weird because he wanted to criminalize blasphemy in the UN. And he was,
weird.
Huh. And he was the deputy of an Egyptian who's actually banned from the United States because he has such radical rhetoric about the U.S.
I have a scoop for you all.
Sure.
I didn't even do it on my own show. I have a scoop for you all on this show. Breaking news. Okay. Mohammed Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood were directly involved in the Benghazi 9/11 situation. Bingo. Story will be coming out in the next couple of days.
You've heard it first here in the...
Are you reporting on this?
Are you reporting on this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ken from the
according to the Kuwaiti paper Al Ra, which was a investigation by intelligence was prepared by Muhammad Ibrahim Shaif, Director of the National Security for Libya. The report is addressed to the nation's Minister of Interior. It discusses the preliminary findings of the investigation, specifically concerning an Egyptian call which was involved in the consulate attack. Based on confessions derived from some of those arrested at the scene, 6 people, all of them Egyptians, from the jihad group Ansar al-Sahara, supporters of Islamic law is what it means, were arrested. They gave up the Muslim Brotherhood. So there you go. That's where your $1 billion went, America.
But how can that be? Because we supported him. We wanted to oust the old regime and bring him in. How could that be?
Did you ever wonder why this administration was fighting real hard to make it a video?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go, people. There's a lot more to this candle than the wax.
What do you think? Do you think impeachment's going to come over this?
I think it has to, because like I've said before,
do you think
if
the House has the balls to do it?
If it shows that this administration was actively involved or knew, we're not talking manslaughter here. We're talking murder. Although Rooster has corrected me many times and told me manslaughter. with this finding here and others to come, and I've spoken with Paul Vallely, General Paul Vallely, and many others, with things breaking as they're breaking, I don't see how it doesn't go all the way to a sleeping giant called Obama in the White House.
And I agree 100%. It's going to be really curious and interesting what the House does when everything comes out, as well as the Senate and how that vote's going to go down. We have like 30 seconds left. Ken, thank you so much for calling in. God bless you too, sir.
Thank you.
Great show.
Great show. Thank
Great
you,
show.
everyone,
Thank you
who joined in. Thank you to everyone in the chat room. Iggy, Buddy for joining us for the first time. The person who hit on the guest all night. Rooster,
which is everybody else.
Kevin, the Acceptable Conservative Show.
This is Sackhead Clint.
Sackhead Shaun.
Thank you, America. God bless.
Wednesday night. God bless. Check us out on Facebook.